Alright, hi guys, welcome back to another video. Now in this video, we'll be taking a look at how to deploy a website that we created on our system to GitHub for free. The only limitation with GitHub is the fact that we can only deploy front-end part of the website. So I have a very simple setup which has Bootstrap in it. So I have just one heading and one image. So this is a Bootstrap based website. And I'm going to now show you how you can upload this for free and get a link that you can share with everybody using GitHub. So the first thing that we need to do is to go to github.com and create an account really quickly. So let me quickly do that. So make sure that you follow all the rules, so we cannot have spaces here, and this should work fine. So you can just sign up, and this is completely free of course, so we can just sign up without any issues. And you can, if you want emails, you can keep it checked, but I don't want it, so I will uncheck it. And okay, so Spiral Galaxy, that is new. So we can just join the free plan by clicking here, and then it will have a quick intro. So welcome to GitHub and woohoo, you've joined millions of developers and stuff like that. And I am a software engineer, so I will select that, but you can pick whatever is relevant. And I have a lot of experience. So what do you plan to do? Well, I basically want to host a project. That is what the video is about. And that is it. So you can complete setup. This is of course completely optional, so you can just pick whatever is relevant and it doesn't really matter anymore. Alright, so we have to verify our email address before we do this, so let me quickly go ahead and do that. So we will of course get an email from GitHub, and we can just click a button and that should do the verification for us, and it should also log us back into GitHub. So there we are, and we are also logged in now, so we can close the previous tab, and now it again gives us a lot of options. So this is actually new. The last time I signed up, this onboarding wasn't there. But what do we want to do? So right now we want to host a website, so we will say create a repository, and you can even skip this if you want to go to the main screen, but since we want to create a repository, let's do that. And a repository in GitHub's terms is basically a folder, right? Just like we have folders on our system, we have repositories on GitHub. So every project is basically a new repository, and I will just say upload demo because that is what the project is, or make it more meaningful, so deploy demo. And you can have a description. So this is, I'll just say author, and I can just write my name, but you can write a couple of lines there. And if you want it public, you can keep it public. If you don't want to share your code, you can keep it private, but I'll just leave it to public for now. And again, a couple of options here. So if you have an instruction manual or something like that, you can add a readme file. You can add gitignore, but gitignore is basically just, it'll allow us to hide passwords and stuff like that. So if you're working with anything that has passwords, you can do that. And you can even choose a license. So you can just leave it blank for now. And this says this will set main as the default branch, which is fine. So right, so it took a couple of seconds there to actually identify the name, and it is saying that there cannot be spaces here, so we will have a hyphen instead, which works fine for me. And now I haven't selected anything else, so I'm just going to create a repository, and this will basically create a new repository for us. And again, it is just like creating a new folder on our system, and then we can go ahead and upload all our code. So now you can see in the top here, we have our username / the name of the repository which we have just created, And then if you're already familiar with GitHub, you will know what all of these mean. But if not, you can just select this upload an existing file option. And I have this code in a file called index on my desktop itself. So I'm just going to select that as soon as the upload box opens up. And another thing to note is the fact that your file has to be called index.html. If you name it anything else, this will not work, because the browser looks for the file called index before loading anything. So the first file has to be called index. So let's choose this, and it's on the desktop itself. There you go, that is my file. So I will select that, and I also have an image, like you can see, so I need to select that as well. So choose your files again and pick the image, and that should work fine. And then one final thing that we need is to commit. So commit in GitHub's terms is save. So just like we save a new change or save a file on our system, we commit it to GitHub. You can either type something in or leave it default, and then you can just commit changes. So this will now upload both the files to our repository. Alright, so the upload is done. So we see two files. We see the index.html and we see the logo.png. These are the two files that we have just uploaded. And it will also show us a couple of things here. So yes, this shows us the comment that we left for default and the time at which the change was made. So we have basically created a repository. So if you want to share this with somebody, if you want to share the code with somebody, that is, you can just send them this link, which is github.com/your username/the name of the repository. But if you want to deploy this, which is to create a link that will show us this output, then you can go to settings. So we use a feature called GitHub Pages for this, and GitHub Pages actually allows us to deploy a website for free as long as it's the front end bit. So in the settings, we can scroll down till we find the pages section. So there it is. It says GitHub Pages. And it says GitHub Pages is designed to host your personal projects from a repository, which is exactly what we want to do. So there is just one step here. We need to select this none and make it to main, right? So again, it will be to none by default. So just click on the drop down, select main and leave this to root and save. So this will basically do it for us. So it will refresh the page and then it will give us the link on which our website will be live. So let's just give it a couple of seconds. This usually happens instantly, but in some cases, if it's a big project or if you have added a lot of files, then it might take up to a couple of hours to reflect everything. But the first index.html usually reflects immediately. The styling or the functionality might take some time, but the HTML bit at least shows up almost immediately. Alright, so once the page loads in after the refresh, it will say GitHub Pages source saved, which means that the website is now being uploaded. And you can scroll down again, go back to GitHub Pages, and you will see this notification that your site is published at this link. Now in some cases it will tell you that your site is ready to be published, which means it might take a couple minutes, but you can just refresh after a while and you will see this final notification which says your site is published. And if I then open this up, then this should almost immediately show us our files. If it does not, it might take a couple hours, like I said, depending on the size of the project. But since this is a very simple HTML with just one heading and one image, this should load up instantly. Right, so there we go. It has deployed successfully. Like you can see, it says tabdilacademy.github.io/deploy demo. So we have our username.github.io followed by the name of the repository. So this is the standard name that every website that we deploy shows up with. And again, so since the image is too big, it's taking a while to load. But like you can see, we have the exact same website that is on our local file here, deployed on GitHub for free in just a couple of minutes. And now you can just share this link with whoever you want to be able to see the website, and they can just visit it for free. So that is how we can deploy a project with GitHub for free.